an impending or looming recession, how does that affect private equity funds, as they look at investments?
Well, it does affect capital structure for sure. So, walking into a recession as a buyer, you got to be cognizant of the fact that perhaps the next 12 to 18 months aren't going to be the most fun, and you have to wade through that. So you want a runway and appropriate capitalization for the firm to continue to build its customer base, or try to build its customer base, or do new product development, or whatever it is they're working on without feeling constrained. So you're going to over equitize the business at the onset of a recession versus perhaps buying a business when you're in the middle of an expanding market. So clearly it'll impact capital structure. In terms of risk appetite, a desire to deploy capital, at least I'll speak from MCM's perspective. We're not market timers. We've done well in poorer economies going into an investment, as well as robust economies. So, it doesn't change our desire to deploy capital. We may become a little bit more selective and discerning in poorer economies, but I would say that it's principally the capital structure that gets impacted.
And what about from the business owner's perspective too? What about purchase price?
Yeah, so purchase price, I mean, look, you look at the public markets are a good proxy for what happens in the private equity markets. In bad economies and recessionary conditions with, earnings that are depressed, yeah, it impacts valuation. If you were to put a gun to my head and say, by how much, I would probably answer in and around, 15 to 20% would be the delta between sort of a selling in a peak market and versus selling in a recessionary market.
But private equity funds are still going to be active in a recession. So if a business owner is looking to sell, they certainly have some viable options.
And there's mechanisms that creative firms can deploy such that the seller isn't unduly penalized by the timing of his decision.
Great. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being on.
You're welcome.